Hello and welcome to In 20 with me, Roshan Narayan. Now, if you're watching us on YouTube, do hit the subscribe button. And if you're following us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, thank you very much. Joining us live from the Santiago Bernabeu, the one and only Danny Mills joins us. Danny, I heard that you've been giving, a bit of tutoring to Sergio Ramos on how to defend in Spain. That's a complete lie, isn't it?
It is, yeah. I mean, I'm sort of pitchside. Look, I mean, if you can get that in. I've got goals, but not really pitchside. Obviously, there's an awful lot going on this afternoon. Obviously, with the end of the Premier League season, so much at stake. But no, so I will be at home covering it for different people across lots of different platforms, trying to watch about 7 games at once, I think.
And the good news is you're home because I can just look at the clouds behind you. Just a story between all of us. Danny sent me this picture yesterday. It was bright and sunny. And I knew it. Based on how your weather is, Danny, it is completely bonkers, similar to this headline. The Footballer Writers Association Player of the Year Award. Now, I'm just going to give you 4 names, right? It went to Jordan Henderson. Everybody knows that by now. Second came in Kevin De Bruyne. Third was Marcus Rashford. And the best player on the planet, recently voted the best player on the planet, Virgil van Dijk, came in 4th. Jordan Henderson won this. Now, I might sound a bit biased, but do you agree with this decision? Because I found it really weird and strange all at the same time.
Right, this is supposed to be the best player of the season. Now, is Jordan Henderson the best player at Liverpool even? No, I don't think he is. Let's be honest. If you were going to go and buy a player from Liverpool, how far down the list would Jordan Henderson be right now? You would go with Alisson. You would go with Van Dijk. Probably Trent Alexander-Arnold. Then you would go Salah, Mane, possibly even Firmino in there. And then in the same sort of category, you might have Andy Robertson. And then you'd have Henderson, Oxlade-Chamberlain, possibly Firmino. Now, is he the most influential player this season? Possibly, yes. Has he been one of the best leaders this season? Without question. Is he the best player in the Premier League? No, he's not. Simple as that. So I think the football writers have got a little bit romantic about this. And also with Marcus Rashford in there. How is Marcus Rashford above Vardy? How is he above Harry Kane? How is he above Aubameyang? These are all top strikers. Again, it's like, he's young. So what? You're talking about the best player. If you were going to go out and buy, if you had all the money in the world and you were going to go and buy players from the Premier League, would you buy Henderson right now? No. Forget about his age. No, you wouldn't. Would you buy Rashford? Possibly. But there are lots of other players that you would buy ahead of that. So I think the football writers have got a little bit romantic about this one.
Okay, I can ask this question because I don't think travel will be allowed anytime soon, and I've always planned to come back to your beautiful country and stand pitchside with you and do the show in 20 over there. But since I might not be able to come over anytime soon, I can ask you this question: is it down to the fact that both of these players are English and they want to promote the local scene, they want to shed some light to what is good with the English national team, seeing that there's a massive tournament coming out next year?
I think with Marcus Rashford, there's this huge, what a magnificent talent. How amazing has he been? Well, has he really? When you look at the goals scored, I think there are much better players out there than he has been this season. Mason Greenwood, look at his performances. Rashford has done okay, but he's not been amazing. He's not been absolutely outstanding. Would Rashford make PFA Team of the Year? Where's Mane on that list? Hang on a minute. Everyone's been banging on about Mane as one of the best players in the world at the moment. Where is he? Why have they not voted for Mane? That's what I don't understand. It seems very, very strange. Raheem Sterling was exceptional up until sort of Christmas time period. There have been, Kevin De Bruyne has just been simply outstanding. I think it's romantic. I think obviously with Liverpool winning it after 30 years, Jordan Henderson being the captain, I think there's romanticism about that. And I think with Rashford being English, and being young and coming through, they want to promote him and they want to big him up as much as possible. But I find it a very, very strange list. When you're talking about the best player, be interesting to see when sort of the PFA awards come out, if that's the same. That's what the players vote for. And I think that's always one of the big markers.
If you remember years gone by when David Beckham was in his prime, he lost to Luis Figo, then he lost to Michael Owen in the same season for World Player of the Year and, of course, Top European Player of the Year. And everyone is going like, did this man's, his lifestyle off the field affect, his ability to win these awards? And then you see the opposite that's going on right now. How do you, have any sort of credibility when something like this is mentioned and nobody over there in England will ever mention anything apart from you? For the fact that they will be blacklisted.
Well, I think also you have to think what Marcus Rashford has done in terms of what he's done off the field, in terms of sort of changing around a government decision to give free school meals to children and keep that campaign going to feed lots of children. Yeah, brilliant! What an amazing man! What an amazing person! Absolutely outstanding. Does that make him the best football player? No, not necessarily. It makes him an amazing person, and an idol and an icon and somebody that maybe we should all look up to and respect an awful lot more. Yep. But it doesn't make him the best footballer. And again, this is where I think, people have had the wool pulled over their eyes a little bit by this. And they've looked at other things around the wider world and the bigger picture rather than just simply on the football pitch, which this should be what it is judged on.
If you were Virgil van Dijk right now, what would you be thinking? Or the other names you mentioned as well in that Liverpool squad, you're going like, him?
Well, yeah, I mean, let's look, Mane, who has been outstanding. Everyone's been talking about Mane as the first pick on Liverpool's team sheet. One of the best players. Virgil van Dijk hasn't had as good a season as he had last year. He's made a couple of mistakes within that this year, which he didn't make last year. He's still been absolutely outstanding. But Mane would be the one. Everybody's talking about, what a humble guy, how magnificent he has been this season. But, he doesn't even get in the top three. Realistically, and I don't care whether you're a Liverpool fan, a Manchester United fan, Manchester City fan, right this moment, if you had the option, would you buy Mane or would you buy Marcus Rashford? I think it's a no-brainer. You buy Mane every single day.
That's fair enough. Let's talk about the person who came in second after Henderson, Kevin De Bruyne. He has an opportunity now to equal a certain Thierry Henry's assist record in the Premier League. I think he's just one behind, and based on what happens today, he could equal it or, be the new record holder. You would be thinking that he should be, in that contention to be better than Jordan Henderson and what he's done so far this season.
And this is what I said. Jordan Henderson has been one of the best leaders, one of the most influential players, but not necessarily the best player. If you're picking a midfield and if you want to go out and win a game and whatever, Kevin De Bruyne gets in your team all day long, without a shadow of a doubt. He is outstanding. I think he's one of the best midfielders in the world at the moment. He's incredible. The amount of assists. Also, you have to admit, the amount of chances that he's put on a plate for players that they've missed. Because although City have nearly scored 100 goals this season, they've missed an awful lot of goals, as well. I didn't think the assists record would matter too much to a player like Kevin De Bruyne, but apparently it does. But this is not really about the record. This is because every time he goes away with Belgium, Thierry Henry gives him a little bit of ribbon about that he has the record, and I think it's come down to a little bit of just a personal thing between the two, and I think that's what's more in it than not, and I think that's why we've seen Kevin De Bruyne a couple of times say, "Oh, hang on a minute, that was my assist. I want that assist. That should be mine." But Kevin De Bruyne is an outstanding footballer. He's a box-to-box midfielder. He can do everything. He puts his foot in. He doesn't whinge. When he gets fouled, he doesn't roll around for too long. He gets up, he plays on, he creates, he scores. He does absolutely everything that you want a midfield player to do.
So he could be the perfect replacement. So, say, for example, at Real Madrid for Toni Kroos or Toni Kroos.
Kevin De Bruyne could play in any team, anywhere in the world. If he was available and Manchester City were prepared to let him go, without a shadow of a doubt. And I do feel a little bit for him because last season he was exceptional until he got injured. This year he's been absolutely exceptional. You know, and Pep Guardiola came out and said, look, let's be honest, last year City won the domestic treble. They were outstanding last season, and a Liverpool player won Player of the Year. This year, you know, City have won many, many things, and attacking wise, and Kevin De Bruyne has been outstanding. Liverpool have won one trophy, and they win Player of the Year again. And I think, you know, there is a little bit of, you know, the romantic about 30 years of Liverpool, you know, coming back, the history of Liverpool. Yeah. People have wanted them to do well because of Jurgen Klopp, because they're media friendly. And that is not necessarily always right. And we've seen it in the past with Mourinho, that his side sometimes don't get something because people don't like him. People don't like his personality. Maybe we're seeing that a little bit with Pep and some of his sides. People don't like Pep. Well, not everybody, you know, likes Pep. Everybody loves Jurgen Klopp. Everybody loves Liverpool. And I think sometimes it goes on that, you know, rather than actually, you know, what you've achieved.
That's a fair point. I know it's going to be quite hard to separate them, but if I give you a list of names, Kevin De Bruyne, Xabi Alonso, Michael Carrick, and Toni Kroos, would you say that Kevin De Bruyne has the ability to far, you know, exceed all of these other players I've mentioned?
I think City have to go on and win the Champions League. You know, if they are to go on and do that, then without a shadow of a doubt. I mean, you just have to look at the player that he is. You know, that the crosses that he's playing in one of the most demanding leagues in the world, in the Premier League. You know, it's very, very difficult to do it on a consistent level, week in, week out. He's managing to do that. You know, he is outstanding, and he's done it not just for, you know, one season. He's done it for 2 or 3 seasons now. You know, we've seen it week in, week out. If he was in the Barcelona side, the Real Madrid side, where 80% of the time the opposition is a little bit weaker than it is in the Premier League, he could have 40 assists by now this season. I think Mesut Ozil get the most in Europe when he was at Real Madrid.
Yep.
You know, yes, he's a fantastic player, but he was laying on a plate for Ronaldo and Benzema and other players. You know, and you have to would assume that would be very, very similar. You know, it's not. Manchester City have been devastating going forward this season. They scored more goals than anybody. You know, today they could easily top 100 goals. That is just sensational, you know. And Kevin De Bruyne has been involved in over a third of those, whether that be scoring or assisting. That's just immense. That is absolutely outstanding.
And it's outstanding that Jimmy Vardy could again be the top scorer in the Premier League. He's battling it out with the likes of Aubameyang and Danny Ings, of all people. I mean,
so why does Danny Ings not get a mention in this? Because it's not a fashion. He's up there with the top scorers. He's in a team that has been struggling near the bottom of the division. So therefore, he's playing with, you have to say, the players that he plays with are not as good as they are at Liverpool and not as good as they are at Manchester City. Do not give him as many chances. So therefore, has he not performed better than that? But again, we tend to overlook that because he's a bit like Jamie Vardy. They aren't winning something. Or Danny Ings is not winning something. You know, they've finished mid-table obscurity and they've staved off relegation. Danny Ings has always been a top player. He's always been a top striker. He's suffered with injuries over the last, you know, couple of years of his career. Finally, now I think, you know, obviously when he got that move to Liverpool, it didn't work because he got injured. Yep. Now we are starting to see him at his best in a team that works around him, and also he's been fit, you know, and he's able to play on a consistent level, and that makes such a difference.
Now, the last time you were on the show, you mentioned that you would pick Aubameyang for Manchester United over Harry Kane. But if you're Jamie Vardy...
And then Harry Kane scored 2, I think, didn't he? The next game.
Yes, he did. But, you know, if you're Jamie Vardy, I know you're not exactly a sprint chicken, but wouldn't you want to just go somewhere else and just give it a try like Kieran Trippier did in Spain? Or if you're Danny Ings as well, you might be looking at yourself, you know, maybe I might deserve a chance to prove myself in a league abroad.
Well, maybe if they miss out on Champions League, you know, this might be the time. There was lots of rumours, obviously, when they won the Premier League, that he had the option to go to Arsenal and turned that down. The problem for Jamie Vardy is he has not one way of playing, but you have to play to his strengths. You have to play, you know, to his pace for the ball in behind. He's not one of the best strikers at coming to feet, you know, building up play, holding the ball up, then turning and getting in the box. That's not really his game. But if you play it in behind the defence, him to run onto, you know, he's that instinctive striker. He's phenomenal, and that's what you have to do with Jamie Vardy. And are all those teams that he potentially could go to, and you're talking about the top teams, do they play the right style for Jamie Vardy, or does Jamie Vardy fit their style? Possibly not, and that might be why he hasn't quite got that massive move.
I'd love to see Jamie Vardy at Atletico Madrid. I think that's the perfect fit. His demeanor, the way he plays. I wish.
And you might be right, but that would fit his style. On the counter attack. Soak it up. One player that works tirelessly up front. But would he fit in Real Madrid? No, he wouldn't. Would he fit in Barcelona? No. Would he fit at Arsenal now? Manchester City? No, he wouldn't, because he has certain strengths that are, and you have to play to those strengths, and that doesn't fit every single club. So
he could actually fit Jose Mourinho's style of play, counter-attacking football. I mean, Tottenham are chasing a spot in Europe. It all depends, with Wolves are in action, everything. It's do or die. Imagine Jose Mourinho not in Europe. My goodness.
I think Tottenham might get there. There's also, I think that the caveat is Arsenal could spoil everything, couldn't they? I think for Tottenham, depending on what happens today, and then depending on what happens in the FA Cup, Arsenal could really mess it up for Tottenham, and how they would love to do that. Let's just say.
But the question was, if Jamie Vardy, had an opportunity to play for Jose Mourinho, would he fit a Jose Mourinho style of play?
Possibly, but would he go there, be a number 2 to Harry Kane? That would be the other caveat to that. How much would he cost? Would you have to sell Harry Kane to bring him in? And would Mourinho want him as his number 1 striker all the time? I'm not convinced he would. When you look at the strikers Mourinho has had in the past, he's not been overly bothered about pace. He wants to play to a certain way. He's got Harry Kane now, who's not, he's no Usain Bolt, is he? He's not bad, but he's not, he's not Jamie Vardy. He had Ibrahimovic that, was in his late 30s, so he's had him a couple of times. He's never a sprinter. Diego Costa was good, but he worked hard. Drogba was strong and powerful. So again, that's not necessarily the Mourinho way to play consistently on the counter-attack. He needs someone to hold the ball up to bring other players into play.
Okay, fair enough. We have 3 more minutes, so we can talk about 3 teams quickly. It's United, Chelsea, Leicester in that order on the table right now. Leicester entertain Manchester United. Chelsea have Wolves. Who's going to be in the Champions League, Danny, and who's going to be in the Europa League for you?
Right, I think Manchester United, Leicester will be a draw, and I think Wolves, Chelsea will be a draw. Wolves, Chelsea could be 2-2, so that could easily go either way. But I think Manchester United, Leicester, I think that might be a draw. I'd go for 1-1. So I guess if that's the case, they stay in the same order, don't they? So it'd be Manchester United, Chelsea, and Leicester would miss out this time around on Champions League. Leicester have blown it themselves. They've had ample opportunities, and their form over recent games hasn't been good enough. I think at one stage 8 points clear of 4th place, maybe even more. Just before lockdown, and they've blown that. It's a massive gap. A massive points deficit that they've had since. Their form has not been great since the restart.
But if I'm correct, which I normally am, I'm just kidding.
Always.
Wouldn't it be a bigger loss for Manchester United not to get into the top 4, seeing that Chelsea, Frank Lampard,
definitely,
it's an experiment that's worked, and Leicester City have proven everyone wrong, and they can still qualify?
They can. I suppose the ideal situation for English football would be that Chelsea and Leicester go into the Champions League through the league positions. Manchester United or Wolves then win the Europa League, and then obviously get into the Champions League via that route. So England get 5 teams in the Champions League next season. But yeah, I think for Manchester United to miss out would be a big blow, because it's in their hands. They're in 3rd at the moment. It's for them to blow, isn't it? It's not so much Leicester beat them. It's more like Manchester United lose. That will be the headline. It won't be Leicester make it into Europe. It'll be Manchester United miss out. But Frank's had a fantastic season. But I always said that the Chelsea squad is always good enough to finish in the top 4. They only lost Eden Hazard. I know he's a big player, but look at the talent that they brought in. So, Chelsea should always be there or thereabouts.
All right, my friend, it's been an absolute pleasure. I'll let you go before the rain kicks in. No, it's actually sunny now. This is what
this is England. Look, this is like blue. It goes from blue sky to all sorts. It's just this country is absolutely bonkers. I mean, it'll be raining in a minute. But that's what it is.
All right, thank you, Danny, for joining us. Don't worry, we have the Champions League, the Europa League to cover, and the FA Cup to cover over the next few weeks. I shall talk to you very soon, my friend. Get home, be safe, which is all of like 10 seconds from where you're sitting to where you're going to be in. Thank you very much, friend. I'll talk to you soon. All right, don't forget to follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And once again, if you are watching us on YouTube, do you hit the subscribe button, which is somewhere over here? I hope I get it right this time. Till the next time, bye-bye.